Danny for VIP Boxing down at No Limits Gym in Liverpool, where I'm with this year's 51 kilo national champion, Lucas Dube. Did I pronounce that right, Dube?
Dube, it's all the same to me, yeah.
I always think of Elvis Dube, we just talked about him before, who's a cruiserweight light heavyweight out at the time, fought many times on our shows.
Yeah.
But back to you. Let's find out a little bit about you. How old are you first?
I'm 24 years old, nearly 25 in a couple of weeks, June 16th, so I'll be nearly 25.
And how long have you been boxing?
Just about 10 years now. I started at 15, just as kind of something to do. There's a little youth centre around the corner actually, and I just went in there to work out. Not looking to box, not looking to compete or anything. Met a fella there called Alan Wong. He said, if you fancy learning a little bit, I'm not doing too much, so if you pop up these times, these days, I'm happy to dedicate some time towards you. And I was like, no skin off my back, if you fancy doing it, go ahead, I'll show up. Started from there, never looked back, and he brought me here as well.
So did you start from No Limits as an amateur first?
Yeah, I've only ever boxed with this club.
I like that.
I trained with Alan for a couple of months, just me and him in the youth centre, and he used to box in this gym as well, so then he said, there's only so much I can do for you one-on-one here, start doing the classes, and I've only ever been with No Limits.
So how long from when you arrived here did you have your first fight?
It couldn't have been too long, maybe a few months, I can't really remember, but yeah, it wasn't a crazy amount of time, yeah. 5-6 months, maybe something like that. And then I had a couple of months with Alan as well.
And how many fights have you had altogether?
I've had 50 now. In fact, exactly 50. My ABA final was my 50th
what way to do that, eh?
Right. I always said to Danny as well, if I did want to turn over, the plan was I'll get to 50 fights first, and then just assess where I am. You can get to 50 and think, I can't really make a career out of this, anything like that. But to win the ABA title on my 50th fight, it was poetry, really.
I always believe, I think it takes about, for me, I think it takes around about 20 fights for you to have a general idea of where you can go. Because your big improvements, your first 10 fights, a massive leap from each fight to the next fight. But I think then you start finding out how to, it's all about how to control adrenaline, isn't it? That's what amateur boxing teaches you, how to drip feed it rather than in your first fight, you go back to your corner, you can be as fit as they don't know what, but you're absolutely dead. Because adrenaline is just flooded out of you. So I think 20 fights is a good bout, a good amount to find out whether boxing's right for you or not.
Yeah.
So 50 is plenty, but like I say, achieving the national title is a special achievement. Did you ever think that was possible when you first started?
No, do you know what? When I first started, this was just, it wasn't a career, it wasn't something I was going to dedicate this much of my time to, it was just something to do. And even competing, I just thought, it's probably a bit of fun, I'll have a go. As I started getting a bit more and more experience, I still didn't actually think, being the best amateur in the country is something in my line of sight. I don't know when it switched to when I
was
noticed.
going to ask you, when did you think it? I mean, how have you done in Liverpool is a real genuine fighting town, because I can visit near enough every gym in one day in Liverpool, because they're all on one another's doorstep.
Yeah, for sure.
And I love that about it, because they're all in the heart of the community. They're not wide out where you've got to travel or you get dropped off by your parents. The kids can walk into the gyms. How have you done in the regional championships? Because the regional championships, where you first get that inclination that you can be half decent. Because as I was saying before, being a champion from the Cheshire Merseyside region is a hard thing to do.
Yeah, for sure.
Because even at your weight, you're probably going to have to fight 2 or 3 times to be that champion, where a lot of people get buys all the way through. But because Liverpool is a real fighting town, and if I spoke to 20 kids off the streets who are under the age of 18, I can guarantee 15 of them at some point has been in a boxing gym. Because they've been with their mates. They might never fought, but they've been with their mates and gone down there. Because everyone does it. It's a bit like Ireland. Everyone as they go in a gym.
Yeah, it's a real fighting city, isn't it? Yeah.
It is.
Do you know what? I've never actually entered I'm trying to think how many tournaments I've entered. I entered so last year I got a bye straight to the quarters.
Yeah.
I got beat by the lad that went and won it, Hamza Udin. And then the
He's just turned pro.
He's just turned pro, yeah. He was in here the other day, he's a nice lad.
Where's he based then?
Walsall, somewhere around Birmingham.
Right.
So it was quite a trip, yeah.
Mm.
But I sparred him loads, so he's went back and forth. And then the year before that, I got beaten our regional final by Jack Turner.
Oh, very good kid.
Yeah, Jack Turner as well. He's turned over. He's been in here a couple of times.
I think he's 4-0 and stopped everyone in the first round.
In the first round, yeah.
I think he's just been signed by Boxer, hasn't he?
I'm not too sure. He's been signed. He'll be doing well though. In
fact, I bumped into him at Dave Matthews' gym where he was sparring Conor Butler, and he was still amateur. And I think he went on that year to win the nationals.
Yeah, that might have been the year he. Oh no, wait! I don't think he won it in 2022. He'll have had a couple. Either way, yeah, I boss a lot of good kids in and around this region and in and around the country as well. I'm happy to be at this point #1 in England.
That sounds good, doesn't it?
It does, yeah, it does. Soon to be #1 in GB after the Tri-Nations.
And when are the Tri-Nations?
About 4 weeks' time. They're in Scotland this year.
Scotland. So there'll be 1 Englishman, you, a Welshman, and 2 Scottish kids.
Yeah, should be. Yeah. But I'm not sure if anyone's entered from Wales this year. But I'll find out soon enough. But either way, it'll be me and then at least two Scotsmen.
So you're going to have 2 fights no matter what.
I prefer that.
And someone could be a bye straight into the final.
It should be that way. I think if anyone gets a bye to the final, it should be the lad that won the Scottish version of the Arabian.
So you'll fight the guy who's a runner-up.
I'll fight #2 and #1. Yeah.
Sounds good, doesn't it?
I'd be happy with that.
Yeah. And what are your intentions then, if everything goes well? I presume you've never got an England best then before?
No, this will be my England debut. Had me not Tri-Nations, at the GB assessments last weekend, or maybe the weekend before. So fingers crossed something comes of that, at England GB. But I'll stick around in the amateur scene if I can get, GB experience, things like that. Yeah. If not, I'll get the Tri-Nations under the way and then probably turn over.
So I've been lucky enough to film you on a couple of occasions. I think the first time must have been about 3 years ago.
Yeah,
it was on an All Limits show, and you fought a kid who turned over with us, Samir Aftab. And it was a close fight, but I was really impressed with you because Samir looked really good in the first round, but you went back to your corner, come out, you weren't deterred or anything, you come out and just went straight back at him and managed to grind out a good result. And I think Samir was a very good amateur. I think he was a regional champion on numerous occasions, been to a couple of finals.
Things, I'm sure,
he was a good kid. And then it must have been about a year later, I filmed you on a Peaky Blinders show where I was filming that last night. And you fought another very good kid from Next Gem, who's just turned over as well, Iman
Naseeb.
Yes, who's very good. And he's just turned pro now. So, is there anyone else that you fought? You just mentioned one of them,
Udin. Hamza Udin.
Hamza Udin, yes. So is there anyone else that you fought in the amateurs that's turned over now, that'd make for good rivalry when you turn pro, or if you turn pro?
Let me think. I can't think at the top of my head who's turned over, but when you get to a certain level, everyone who you're boxing is pretty good, and everyone who you're boxing probably wants to make a career out of it. If you're in an ABA final, or if you're pushing 40-50 bouts, this is probably your life.
Was that your first final as well then?
Yes, it was, yeah.
So 55, so it's all come fairly late then, really.
Yeah, for sure. I took the long way round. I honestly don't think there's anything I do that makes me a particularly good amateur boxer. I've always felt like, do you know what, coming in here against these old school judges, I'm probably a little bit up against it. My style isn't really, and everyone said that they've got a pro style, but my style really isn't suited for what amateur boxing judges are looking for, I think. So Yeah, it's took me a little while to get there, but I did get there. It was always the goal, and I just stuck with it, and now I'm here. And there'll be a couple of lads who I think, yeah, we had a tough competitive fight as amateurs, but when you've got to see me in them little gloves, it's going to be a lot more in my favour, if you get what I mean.
Well, I remember speaking to Danny just before the show when I filmed you for the first time, and he's always spoke highly of you. And I don't know how many you had fights then. You must have had about 30 fights then, had you?
Yeah, something like that. Maybe just a little bit under as well. Yeah.
So do you work then full time?
I wouldn't say I work full time. I work Friday to Saturday in a shoe store stock room, and then I take pads for a couple of people in here as well. It's quite ideal, to be honest. I don't work too many long hours. I kind of pick and choose when I'm in here as well, just when it suits me around training. Boxing's my priority, and I'm quite lucky I can make it a priority.
And is there any, you know, like you've come in this place, and this place has produced some good pros over the last few years. Is there anyone that you look up to, you know, you thought, oh God, I'd love to be like him?
Yeah. Do you know what, to be honest, for the longest time, I don't think I've ever told Faz this, but for the longest time, I didn't really want to make a career out of it. And I think a moment for me that was like, wow, I really want to be here, when Faz boxed Mashadod.
Oh yes.
And I watched him walk out, and I could feel the energy in the crowd. And obviously I was excited for him. I wanted him to really win it. And I thought, fucking hell, yeah. Like,
unfortunately,
I really
the clash of heads, wasn't
clash
it?
of heads,
and a bad cut. So,
but he had to, I think that the very last round, before it got stopped, he really had to, like, pour his arse out. He had to give it everything in that round because he knew it was probably about to get stopped. So he just went for broke. It was exciting. It was good to see.
I'm just going to pause you a second because, again, not very professional today. The battery's about to run out.
Oh, nightmare.
Right, we was talking about boxing heroes. So, Faz, who was your first one then, eh?
Yeah, that moment there. And I appreciate all the pros that are in here as well. Yeah. In fact, not even just the pros. Like,
well, who's giving you the best advice just recently? Because you've done something that a lot of these guys have never done. You've won a national title.
Yeah.
You know, and they've all turned out to be good pros. Yeah. So you've got a high expectation on your shoulders.
Yeah. Well,
do you like that?
I do. Yeah. Anyone who wants to be great at anything's gonna feel pressure. The weight of expectation.
Pressure makes diamonds.
Exactly that. Pressure makes diamonds. Yeah. I don't mind.
Do you like that?
Pressure on me back.
Do you like the cliches in boxing? Because they're all over the walls and everything, but they're all true, aren't they?
Exactly that. The cliches for a reason, because they're right, and you've heard them that many times. They just become a cliche.
And whereabouts are you from within Liverpool?
So I was born in Zimbabwe, and then I came to Liverpool when I was about 5 years old. Lived in Toxteth for a little bit, only about maybe 4 or 5 years. And then I spent the rest of my time here in Kensington, just round the corner.
Because you sound quite posh.
Do you reckon? Cut that out.
I've been trying to catch up with most, because the Northwest did really well this year.
We got, Merseyside and Cheshire, we got 7 ABA champions this year, and I think we broke some kind of record.
Well, I think there was 8 Cheshire and Merseyside. Oh, there might be more actually, because I'm sure there was 8 Northwest in the finals. I think we got 4 winners. But I think I might be classing you as one of them. But you are Cheshire and Merseyside, aren't you?
Yeah, Merseyside and Cheshire.
But you beat, the guy you beat is a kid I know really well.
Oh yeah.
Umar Khan, who boxes out of Blackrod.
Yeah.
And his coach, Rick Godin, used to box for us. Rick was a beautiful boxer.
Yeah.
And Umar's a good kid.
Yeah.
So,
he is. He's fucking huge for the weight as well. Every time I see him, I can't
tall,
believe how long he is. Yeah.
So perfectly built for boxing.
Perfectly built for boxing, amateur boxing.
Well, how do you find that then? Because you're a bit like I was, you know, you're never going to be tall for the weight. But do you feel you can use your size as an advantage?
I think it's an advantage, and at 50 fights, don't get me wrong, it took me a little while to find myself, get settled, figure out exactly what works for me and when it works. But it's only an advantage. Everything I might consider a disadvantage to myself, somebody else also has to figure their way around it, if you get what I mean. So it's not always necessarily a disadvantage. Like I can come up under your shots, I can move around you a little bit easier if you're taller. There's pros and cons, and if you know how to use it as a pro, it's no longer a disadvantage.
Are you a big boxing fan?
Huge boxing fan, yeah.
Yeah. I think that makes a big difference, that, you know. I know a lot of people who just do boxing because they're good at it and become successful, so they know nothing else, but they're not necessarily boxing fans. I think when you're a boxing fan, it makes you a better boxer. You know?
I agree.
And not just that because you go and study it. I mean, what does Danny ever say to you? Go and have a look at this kid. And
every now, if we're boxing somebody, sometimes he finds similar fights that might look like, oh yeah, he boxes like you, and then this kid will box the way your opponent's gonna box. Watch this. This is the type of things we need to do. In fact, not just Danny. Ryan Mulcahy, who's a good pro, who's in here. He's very studious.
He's very good, actually.
He was. He is. You can tell even in the way that he talks to me and gives me advice. He knows his stuff, right?
Very aggressive. Very exciting. And sad he blew his knee out, didn't he? He's put an end to his career, unfortunately.
I think he's still got that injury now, actually.
Who's your all-time favourite then? Not just out of this gym, but who's your favourite British fighter at present? And who's your favourite all-time fighter?
Favourite all-time fighter? I think a lot of people might dislike this. I love Tank. Tank is my favourite fighter right now and always. And I like that I can watch him live as well now. Like when he's boxing, he's active now, so I can wake up dead early in the morning, dead excited in it, and get to see him box. Favourite British fighter? At a certain point, I would have said Josh Taylor. Do you know what I'm even though he's just lost the Catterall twice basically, I'm still gonna say Josh Taylor because he had an amazing run through maybe 2015 to 2018.
18 fights he achieved being
undisputed. I love what he did to O'Hara Davis. He beat Ramirez, Prograis. He became undisputed. He won that Muhammad Ali trophy as well. I think, I'll give him that.
O'Hara Davis is not too well liked around here.
No, he's not. And at the time, I was waiting for someone to pummel him, and then Josh Taylor did that to him. I was his biggest fan that day.
Well, listen. When did you say the Tri-Nations are?
In about 4 weeks' time.
4 weeks' time. Well, good luck for them.
Thank you.
And that'd be an amazing achievement if you can win that. Get your first vest as well. So we're not sure what's going to happen, but you never know. I might be talking to you in a few months, and you could be saying, talking about your first pro fight. You never know, do you? But I think if those GB trials go well, then that's a must for you, isn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'd stick around for that. Just to be
part of an England team.
Exactly that.
Or a GB team.
GB team, England team.
That'd be special.
It's all worth it.
Maybe a little tournament somewhere.
Exactly that.
And great experience for you.
For sure.
But
exciting times. I'll take it day by day.
Well, luckily enough, I come down here a lot, so I'll be able to follow that journey and catch up with you and find out if you've become a Tri-Nations champion. And, let's say, another special achievement. Lucas, take care, mate.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you coming.
For all boxing info, news, and latest interviews, amateur and pro, across the north, click and subscribe. VIP Boxing Promotions. Also, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.